It's the only show where we find out if the anime of yesteryear are worthy of returning to, if they are in fact based or cringe. And today we're going to make the determination about Ayane's high kick. Doing so in our in-person presentation with me, Digibro, and the best guy ever.
What's up, everybody? Feeling good, feeling limber. Virus ain't got me down. How about you?
And Endless Jess.
Yeah. What up?
And this is the format of this show that we're hoping that KHANTENT will eventually be full-time, which can be possible very soon if you help to move Best Guy Ever down here by giving to the Kickstarter that maybe is already in the link. I don't fucking know. Or just throw money into his PayPal and tell him it's KHANTENT money.
That would be fair.
Anyway, we're going to talk about Ayane's high kick. It was a huge fucking waste of time.
We just watched terrible. It. This OVA was total dog shit. Okay.
This did not deserve to be from 1996. No, it wasn't worthy.
Was it the worst thing I've ever seen in an anime? No.
Well, let's talk about what aspects of this were based.
It's really the
because
best,
first of
I have
all,
to say.
The cover art obviously looks great. And
that's really what draws you in. That was the main...
I mean, you see this cool-looking, muscular chick, and she looks like she's got lots of attitude. First of all, she does not have any
no attitude at all.
She is just a, very milquetoast high school student.
You are so caught up in wrestling, you don't know when you were being fooled. I am going to check it out for you. Okay?
She does have nice tits.
She barely even has a personality, let alone attitude.
She's a genky high schooler girl who wants to be a pro wrestler.
Her
that is the
only
extent
trait
of her personality.
is her desire to be a pro wrestler, and that she
doesn't
is
even
fucking
seem
retarded.
to want it that bad.
There's a lot of praise of her her long, lithe, muscly, stretchy, flexible legs.
Nice long legs which are supple yet strong. If you train those legs, you will definitely become a champion.
But straight up, the only reason we watch this is due to the literal 1.5 inches of cleavage going on this cover here.
Well, for me, it was always also that she looks like she has musculature. Like she looks like a cool fighting chick. But in the anime, sometimes you get a little sense of that. But mostly she just looks like a regular high school girl who's just kind of lanky. She's cute. There's the best thing I can say about this, the most beast element of it, is that the character art is often kind of nice. Sometimes there's decent moments of animation during fights.
Last round.
But literally nothing that is worth visiting
visually
at all.
It was the most generic anime.
Yeah.
And also structurally and in terms of writing and everything.
It felt like it was watching Gunbuster, but with everything good removed from it and just a basic bitch high school plot.
It is from the 90s and it looks like an anime from the 90s. For me, is pretty base.
Yeah.
I just love that pointy, rough whole style of that era.
It's a style that was, I think difficult to do. To have consistently great art, but that when it pops off, it really does.
I would rather watch a bad anime from the 90s than a bad anime from today.
Just wait, Ayane Mitsui! I will definitely find proof and expel you from this school!
This though, I would never subject myself to again.
This had
for any reason.
Some aesthetic things that were nice to look at. I would much rather prefer a story with a horrendous plot that made us laugh. You were saying, Juju, you thought this might be designed to be a comedy that was silly.
Oh, it's definitely. It gets really farcical at times because. The premise of this is that this girl wants to be a pro wrestler. She gets scouted by this guy who looks like he's one of those, Ashton Joe, super, some, old coach who used to be hot shit, but now he's, in the gutter training some nobody, under a bridge, right?
Literally,
that's the impression he gives. And it's pretty much the case, except that he is actually a kickboxing trainer, and he is just, tricking her, manipulating her into becoming a kickboxer. without her realizing until like the end of the first episode.
But then she realizes it and she keeps doing it.
Hey, good job.
Hands off, you dirty old man! I am going to be a pro wrestler! She makes me so mad, I'm definitely gonna knock her down.
Because there's a situation, there's like a rivalry that develops. She's got pride. She doesn't want to let the other girl talk mad shit. So
it's just that the story is played so straightforward and so straight-faced that, like, you don't really read it as, like, oh, that's a really goofy situation. Like, you can describe it and it sounds like it should be a comedy, but it doesn't feel that way when you're watching it. It's just like, oh, yeah, they fucked this girl over. That's the plot.
But Digi, Jess, what about her beautiful, fleshed-out relationship with her best friend, Ohio?
Yeah.
Right.
That was, an element of the story.
That was a joke, wasn't it?
I don't think it was a joke.
I mean, it's a comedy.
What's
with
the
no
joke?
Jokes.
And who are you?
I'm Kyoka Nakajima, a friend of Ayane's.
Perfect. I was just going out so you can stay with her instead. All you have to do is make sure she doesn't quit. Thanks, Missy.
Sure.
They forgot to put jokes in this comedy.
There's a part in there's like in episode 2 they introduced the main villain who's like the best kickboxer, I guess.
Yeah.
I think they fight to a stalemate.
Ponytail bitch.
Implying that she'll have to fight her again. But like
literally the top champion kickboxer.
Yeah, the
already in the
second
second
match.
episode, she's got the attention
of what was planned to be a 6-episode series, but there were only 2 made. And
right.
We'll get into that a little bit more. But
don't worry about that. It's a feature, not a bug. Like the coronavirus.
Exactly. So the rival, like, she's outright a comedy character. Like she's like this boisterous, over the top personality. People always say, "Oh, she's got 4 wins," and she's like 5 wins. Like she's self-obsessed in that way.
She's an interesting one. I will not forgive it. Standing out like that before my match.
So like that's a comedy character, and that was when I started to kind of key in that, like, oh, this is is this a funny show? And then there's this like really preposterous scene in episode 2 where the trainer builds this wall of fists where like him and the other girl are like using these pegs to like
That was the one interesting like visual idea.
Yeah.
I squandered my salary to build this who knows where the punch will come from training machine.
That was funny and cool and animated fairly well. It was a based moment in a sea of cringe.
Yeah.
Maybe cringe is a bit strong, but when there's a lack of based, kind of the default setting becomes cringe.
Yeah.
I hate to say it, but that's real life, kids.
And I'll tell you that there's a lot of cringe to be had in the voice acting on both fronts, because we started watching this in Japanese and it was literally so boring.
As true heroic
could not
sub
pay
boys,
to
we
it.
went for the sub, but it was so
there
uninteresting.
Was nothing remarkable. The voice acting was bad in Japanese.
11番三井彩音特技は空中殺法ですとわ
This sucks. Let's just put on the dub because we're like not going to be able to pay attention.
The
to
life
this
hack
otherwise.
to making this kind of enjoyable was to put on the dub and make it 1.5 speed. Then it was silly how fast things were happening, and at least I felt
that was
alive.
The pacing it was supposed to have.
Everything looks so great. I'm ready. May I begin now? Hey, what are you doing?
There is absolutely no dinner for children who skip school.
How did you...
There were moments where when I was
too slow.
Like when I tried to like think about how that scene would have played out at regular speed, I'm like, oh no.
I was laughing just thinking about that, about how boring and how much time I would have felt wasted if I was watching as intended. Thank God we were not.
The English dub is, I mean, it's Central Park Media. They did the Garzy's Wing dub, or U.S. Manga Corps.
It's not even like bad. It's not even. It's just.
It was
nothing.
okay.
Yeah.
It was okay.
It's
I love the zany vice principal and his wacky Crocker voice.
Like
And you brought a stupid magazine like this to school? Oh, wait. This is... I finally have the proof I need!
It wasn't good, but at least it could have been like laughably terrible. But
there
it
were
wasn't
moments.
even that.
There were moments that were funny for like the way that the delivery was, and there were moments where it wasn't like. I went back and forth between being like outright cringe or like, haha, it's funny that they clearly didn't read their lines more than like once beforehand, because like you can just hear people like realizing what they're saying in the middle of a sentence and stuff like that, and just being like, or just like reading lines in a way that it makes no sense for a person to say those words that way, you know?
Yeah.
So it's awkward and almost funny, but like you could watch Garzy's Wing if you want to watch a funny dub. This is not a funny dub.
No.
It's mostly cringe.
I did enjoy the sequences where they're like extensively taught. Like you got this old creepy man describing like her sexy, beautiful, lithe legs and how she's got the golden leg and she's going to be the greatest champion who ever lived because they're. I always like to think when you see these characters like talking about like I am like the greatest coach of all time. I can spot what makes your leg identical. Meanwhile, they're in a sea of all anime characters who look exactly the same. There are literally no differences between any of the body types. Epic, hilarious, woke,
somewhat based,
but mostly cringe.
Time out! I think I have to use the bathroom. There's one you can use over there in the park. Do you always use that bathroom? Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's a water fountain too. Oh.
The weird like Yuri pandering subtext between her and the other girl.
Yeah, her best friend
was
Ohio.
honestly kind of cringe just because of how like just randomly inserted it was. That it's just like a couple of moments of them just kind of touching like the lightest possible hint, and yet there's no other reason it would be there.
They just put it in for that little bit of ship fic if you wanna run with that. Yeah.
This fucking thing baffles me because this was planned to be a 6-episode OVA. This is an original anime. This is not based on a manga. That means that they really thought like this was gonna be like a character that they were gonna ride on. Like this character was gonna make them a lot of money, you know? And like it's just the most generic sports plot possible to the point that it feels like a parody of itself at times.
And it's the wrong sports plot. Like, this is
Yeah,
the
it's a
wrong
weird
story
sports
for
plot.
a sports anime or a sports... Like, a sports anything just has the plot built in.
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a guy who wants to be good at the sport. And this is like some weird, like, oh, I'm being tricked into playing the wrong sport, but I happen to be really good at it. What a wacky... What is... And also, there's this weird subplot about, like, her teacher trying to, like... uncover the mystery, like expose her
uncover
as
the fucking mystery that is on the cover of a fucking magazine.
Trying to expose her as like this kickboxer, and it's like it's not even a secret. She's telling people I'm a like I don't get what they're even going for.
I'll ask one more time. You said you never participated in a kickboxing match.
That's right.
So what is this? We have proof, Mitsui. So can you still say that you've never participated in one?
I've never seen that book. She must just look like me.
And then the vice principal is the one doing that plot meanwhile. So, like, technically, yeah, like, you're not allowed to have a part-time job or be on TV when you're in school. He states this clearly for the principal, and the principal is straight up like, bro, I don't give a fuck. We need the clout. We need these badass girls.
Says, do anything for clout.
I'll do anything to get these. I will break any rule that I personally set for these kids because I just don't give a fuck.
The school rules prohibit TV appearances and part-time jobs. The rule was broken, so expulsion is the only choice.
That may be true, Vice Principal, but thanks to her, it appears our school's fame has definitely increased. If we expel her now, it's most definite that media criticism of our school will certainly increase. They may say we discriminate between sports, if baseball and judo are okay, but kickboxing is not.
I think he's like, I bet if this elaborate plot was going to continue, he'd be revealed to be like some like retired god of kickboxing, and all along he sensed her potential or some shit like that. Otherwise, it makes no fucking sense.
I gotta say that I think the biggest element of cringe for me in this, weirdly, is the editing, because there are scenes where just like the cutting between shots is like kind of disorienting. One that's hilarious is like there's the like a wide shot of the two girls on like the top of a slide, and then it cuts to like suddenly like up close of her face when she's like halfway down the slide, and it's like there needed to be some kind of transition of momentum between the shots. It just feels like you suddenly cut to movement, and there's all kinds of stuff like that. It's just parts where the camera is like just it doesn't have left to right cohesion going back and forth between like shot, reverse shot. So basically, I'm just saying it's annoying. It's annoying to watch, and it's definitely majorly cringe.
And it fails. Like, there were comedy shots where they'll, like, say the line. I don't know, like, the incredible, like, resonating silence of, like, no sound effect, no, like, lift in the soundtrack behind to like accentuate that this is a laugh moment. Just a dead silence for like 2 full seconds and then a cut. Incredible. It's almost cringe enough to be based. But
not
no.
quite,
But no.
Not quite there.
Excuse me, but you didn't mention number 11?
It's not listed.
Unfortunately, it's mostly fucking boring. Like,
yeah,
that's like the thing here is that there are things that, like, if you really pumped up the stuff that is good about this, it could approach being based. But like, for the most part, it's just a slog. Like, there's no ideas, and you look at it and you go, you guys really were gonna make 6 episodes of this? Like,
well, see,
there
that's
was
the
nothing.
thing.
By the end of episode 2, it already felt like it was completely out of ideas, and they already they set up this girl to like. She's gonna fight her again? Like, she's a joke character. They have no personalities. There's nothing
history
to wait for here.
You know the history of the industry much better than me. Like, did they just have money to waste on a complete half-baked idea like this?
The thing is that in the 80s, when the Japanese bubble economy was really good, they were just making OVAs left and right.
Yeah.
And lots of people who didn't know what the fuck they were doing were, getting their hands on budgets. In the 90s, the market crashed. And, like, I think
presumably
a lot of
due to this film being produced.
I think a lot of it, I think there was a ton of OVAs that just crash and burn, because I'm thinking about in 96 and 97, you also had, like, 2 other shows that I've written reviews of, Apocalypse Zero, which I love, and Ninja Resurrection, which I think is pretty cool. And both of those got canceled after 2 episodes with 6 planned, but they were, like, really stylish and stuff where you could tell that, like, there was some kind of idea there. Like, I reasonably understand why they thought these shows could be successful. It was just like the 90s was no longer the time and place for them. Like, had they come out in the 80s, they would have been successful probably. But, the 90s were just a dead zone for people not being able to afford DVDs.
And had more love put into it, and had someone in production give a shit about having to stand out in any way.
This, I cannot... I think the character designer cared. No one else. Like, somebody like knew this character design, and they're like, we're gonna make you a star. We're gonna put your character on a show. We're teaming you up with a writer. What's your concept? Sports anime.
They brought in some dude to make the main character, like her friend who's kind of cool looking, and like the rival girl, and maybe some like the other wrestlers, like the leader. Everyone else was completely fucking generic. Cannot remember any other characters in the show.
Way to go, Ayane!
Ayane Mitsue! You know, don't you, I was winning this fight.
I would say that this is cringe.
It's unfortunately cringe. I wanted it to be based. The cover is extremely based.
Yeah.
But all interior of this box, straight cringe. Hate to say it. Jesse.
Piece of shit.
Thanks for watching KHANTENT, everybody. That's going to do it for this episode. Coming at you live. Donate to things that we're going to be doing. More live KHANTENT coming at you soon.
The links are always in the description. And if they're in the description, they're also in the comments, so you can click them on mobile, dog.
That's right,
we
fam.
got you.
See ya sometime soon. High kick! High kick! High kick! Bye! Ha!